you could still score a 9.0 or better on any apparatus if you got up on one.
No way.
I couldn't
You
even
know,
get up on one.
I I get up on the beam once a year. No one around. Just to get up there, I get up there and I'm like, I'm dizzy. I have no sense of awareness, balance. It's crazy. This sport is insane, and it just goes to show, you can't just pick it up and you can't just do it, when you want to or when you feel like it just to play. It takes so much training and practice and time and discipline to get to the level that these athletes are at.
Another duly noted podcast comes to you from the Meldon Law Studios at the Hacienda. Okay, welcome in to another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios here at the Dooley Dome. Appreciate everybody for listening and watching, and we have a good show for you today. SEC champion Jenny Rowland is going to join us. That'll be a lot of fun to talk to her about them winning the championship last week. And of course, they're going to Tempe to face a bunch of different schools there in the regionals. And that is a huge thing. Look, this is a team, and we'll talk about this with her, that kind of set out a goal of we're not going to get left behind the way we did last year when they didn't make the Final Four. And so far, they're doing pretty well at it. But we'll save that for when Jenny comes on. Always love talking to her. She's really one of the great, as so many of them. I can't think of very many coaches over there in my lifetime that I didn't get along with. Certainly nobody in gymnastics. There's only one football coach didn't get along with, and kind of Norm Sloan would be in that. We didn't get along, but at the end, I mean, we kind of made up. So I don't know. Anyway, I don't think anybody really cares about my relationship with coaches. But here's what I will do. I will take you to our moneymedals.com starting five, brought to you by our friends at Money Metals Exchange. MoneyMetals.com is your home for gold and silver purchases, one of the largest distributors in all the United States. 2 Gator grads are running it, and you can reach them at 1-800-800-1865 or at moneymetals.com. Okay, well, let's start off with baseball. I'll get to basketball. Obviously, we talked a lot of basketball on Monday, but I want to start with baseball because that was another big win for Sully to get that win against FSU up in Jacksonville. 5-0 was the final. 3 pitchers, unbelievable. Russell Sandifer, Luke McNeely, Jackson Barberi shut him out. And they shut him out for one reason. Well, there's 2 reasons. One is they all pitched really well, okay? But number 2 was this play, which we're going to have usually we only have Campus USA play of the weekend on Mondays, but we're going to have one today. And thanks to Campus USA for being a sponsor. This is Colt Myers playing short, running all the way out to left field to get the ball and throwing the runner out at third. What a play. And I've seen where people have retweeted this and said, I've never seen this in my life. And I don't know that I ever have. That's the great thing about sports and the great thing about the unscripted nature of sports is that when you think you've seen it all, you haven't seen it all. And that is something I have never seen, and it certainly was exciting. That was a good win. It was Florida's 6th shutout of the year. Now, again, he might not have scored anyway, but just the hustle there was huge. And that's a good sign because, look, we talked about this on Monday. Sully was obviously not very happy after that game Sunday when they got swept by Alabama, got no hit in the first game. Pitching fell apart in the third game. And he kind of had a long come to Jesus meeting with the team before they left on the bus to go up to Jacksonville. And they seemed to respond. But they always beat FSU, right? I mean, I know they're not supposed to always beat FSU. Sully is now trying to look at his record, 39-23 against them, has won 21 of the last 34 against them, and it's pretty impressive. He's only four there. He has drawn Florida within 4 games in the all-time series, which I think he has taken over the Miami series. And look, none of us were happy with what happened at Alabama. None of us were, and we won't be happy if they go to Arkansas and get swept this weekend. But we're happy right now because Florida beat FSU again in baseball. Florida now 20-6, and you will just see where this goes from here. Maybe this team does get a fire lit underneath them. Look, and we'll talk to Jenny a little bit about this when we have her on in a bit. But I don't know that there is a good way to know how to get your team to peak at the right time. I don't even know if that's a possibility. Like maybe Florida Gymnastics peaked last weekend. I don't know. I don't think so. I hope not. I said this before. I think Florida basketball peaked in some point in the first half of the Kentucky game in the SEC tournament, and that was where they peaked. And then from that point on, they really haven't played very good basketball. Look, the Prairie View game, as somebody said, I can't remember who. Oh, Andy said, and as he was entering our contest, or Leonardo's contest, I could have gotten a double-double against them. Yeah, okay. But I don't. Where do you peak football-wise? Well, you like to peak at the end of the year, but you got to get to the end of the year. You got to be in the playoffs. So I don't know that there's an answer to that question, but it does feel like baseball has not peaked yet. They're not a great hitting team, and I think we all have to kind of look at that. And I think Sully has been looking at that. And again, you don't find out until you get at least this deep into the season what kind of team you have. And what you think you know, but you don't know. You think you have pitching at this level, it might not be, or it may be higher. You think you're not going to hit homers, maybe you do. Once you get about this deep in the season, you kind of know what you have. And in this case, I think it's a team that's not going to hit for a lot of power, and they're not going to score a lot of runs. They got no hit, So, I mean, that is what they are. They may have to lay down more bunts. They're going to have to run more, and they have been running. But again, they're 20-6, so we're not going to get down on them. But we're trying to light a fire too under this baseball team. That takes us on our MoneyMetals.com starting 5 to number 2. Who does number 2 work for? That's an old Austin Powers line. Anyway, and I want to talk about the aftermath. The aftermath, as we talked a lot about Monday. I don't want to talk about the game anymore. I exchanged some texts with Todd. Nobody's more gut punch than he is. But that's the funny thing about the way this is all broken down. On Monday and Sunday night, certainly, everybody was pretty angry at Todd Golden. They didn't like that last play. They didn't like the defense. They didn't like the press. I explained to you why they did that. I'm not saying they were right. It's easy to second guess when it doesn't work. Something you did a year ago against Texas Tech worked. Something you wanted to do this year might have worked, but you didn't execute it. Whatever. It's over. They're done. It's sad. It's going to take a lot to get me to watch basketball tonight, to be honest with you. I've had a hard time kicking this one. But what changed the things for a lot of people was all of a sudden you went, oh man, Todd Golden, I'm so mad. I can't believe that call at the end of the game. Why would you call this? Blah, blah, blah. Oh, North Carolina job just came open and Kansas might come open. And Kentucky's trying to figure out, oh, don't take him. We'll keep him. We're good. We love him. I think that's kind of the way a lot of people looked at it. But we have this potential for this unbelievable shape-shifting change in college basketball, and I don't know how much of it's going to happen, though, to be honest with you. I don't think Bill Self is going to retire. I think he, at the end of the day, is going to say, hey, look, I've got my health problems under control. I can still bring in great players. I was cheating before. when there were rules, and now there are no rules, so we can bring in anybody we want. I'm not a big Bill Self fan, as you can tell. So I don't think he's going to retire. The question would be North Carolina. And Florida's already come out and said, look, we're working on a deal. Todd's happy here. He's not going anywhere. That I think that's probably true, but it may not be. Who knows? But the North Carolina job certainly is, to me, a top 5 job still. I don't know that Florida's a top 5 job, to be honest with you. I think it's a top 10 job. Look, if you can win 3 national championships at a school where you're not the number one story and you're not the number one NIL, you're everybody loves Gator basketball. We love Gator football a lot more. That's no big surprise to anybody. This is a football school that's playing incredibly well in basketball, or had been. I'm not going to let one game ruin it for me. That's still one of my favorite teams to watch. This past year's team. Anyway, so then the stories are coming out. One of the favorites to go to North Carolina, Billy Donovan. My first reaction was, that's not happening. And then I went, well, maybe it could. And how would I feel about it? Because look, I consider Billy a friend. He may not consider me a friend, but I think he does. I love Billy Donovan to death. I love his family. I love everything about him. So if he goes and coaches somewhere else, would I get upset? Well, I did get a little upset when Steve went to South Carolina, and I've talked to him about that, how it was kind of you're going to coach against the Gators. Well, if you go to North Carolina, though, you're not coaching against the Gators. You may face them at some point. In fact, I'm sure somebody would say, hey, let's say Billy Donovan does take the North Carolina job, let's match up Florida and North Carolina in the Jimmy V Classic or whatever next year. And I can see that. And people would want to watch Billy against his old team. All right, the question is, would Billy take the job? I've heard a lot of stuff that he's kind of ready to get out in Chicago. This is just stuff people have told me, that they don't know how to draft. It's sad to watch Billy Donovan trying to coach a team that can't play defense and doesn't have good enough players. So would he take that North Carolina job? Everything I've been hearing is he didn't want to get back into basketball, but North Carolina, God, you're going to have big NIL money, and then you're not coaching against the Gators. Like, if you go to Kentucky, you got to coach against the Gators. I don't think that's what kept him. The thing with Billy Donovan, and I'm convinced about this, and people can argue with me about it, but I think the biggest reason he never wanted to go to Kentucky was Kentucky. He wanted to do it like Spurrier did it, win where you've never won. And when Kentucky would come after me, go, I like it here. I can walk down the street, not that many people, or they go, hey, is that Billy Donovan? I think it is. Versus, he's not a guy that wants to put himself in the face. He is the face of a program wherever he is, but he's not a guy who wants you to be freaking out over him. I mean, that's the kind of guy he is. So we'll see what happens. It's unbelievable to me that LSU's about to apparently hire Will Wade. Now, by the time you listen to this, it may have already happened, or it may have turned out it didn't happen, and that NC State is going to get him to an extension and be happy with him. But, man, how corrupt can you be? And I'm just going to say it. This is just LSU. It's the only place in the world where you would fire a coach that you took too long to fire because he was having success, and you should have fired him a long time before that. He was clearly cheating. There's evidence of it. You fired him. He ends up going to McNeese, gets in the tournament, goes to NC State, gets in the tournament barely, had success there. Now you want to bring him back. Yeah, cheating's okay now. Look, it's another guy I'm not a big fan of is Will Wade, and it's just because he's a big phony. He's a liar and a phony, and I don't like him at all. If he comes to LSU, I hope they never win a game. That's the way it's going to be. LSU, they'll just, hey, There is what's the word I'm looking for there? There is no conscience, I think at LSU. There's no conscience. Not conscious, conscience. Yeah. Yeah, we'll take him. Yeah. Osama bin Laden? He's got a kid? Yeah, let's bring him in. Bring him in. Oh, the great grandson of Adolf Hitler. Yeah, let's bring him in. We'll hire him. I may be going too far here, but I'm not it's just, it just baffles me. It baffles me. Like I get, like Bruce Pearl at least had to pay some penance, take some time. I'm not a fan of his either. I'm actually more of a fan of Stephen Pearl than Bruce Pearl, which is hard to believe. But anyway, I'll just leave all that there. I probably said things I probably shouldn't have said, but I'm going to say them anyway. That's why you're listening. You're not listening because you want to hear Pat softcoat things, right? Oh, I think Will Wade would be a great hire at LSU. No, he wouldn't. No, he wouldn't. Sorry. All right, let's get to number 3. Let's pop things going in the right direction here. Number 3 on our moneymetals.com starting 5 is what happened at softball last night. Now, let me go back to Tuesday. I was driving home and I was like, Pat, I want to watch baseball tonight, but I don't want to say I'm gatored out or not gatored out. It was just, I was like, ugh, I don't know if I can watch the Gators right now in any sport. And then my wife said something to me. She goes, Pat, coaches are going to come and go, players are going to come and go. But at the end of the day, I'm always going to be a Gator. And she was talking about herself. I said, well, you know what? I was born and raised that way. My daughter was born and raised that way. She was sobbing at night after the game. All right, I've had my time to reflect and feel bad about everything, and now I'm just back to normal. So I watched the whole softball game, and it was exciting. It was a heck of a game. They beat Stetson 3-2, and I know you're not overwhelmed by that, but Stetson hit a 2-run homer in the first, and Florida was just fighting to get back into it, and they did, thanks to Jocelyn Erickson, who just continues to amaze. 467 right now she's sitting, which puts her, of course, second on the team, but behind Shoemaker. 52 RBI, and had the 2 big hits in the game, a double and a triple, and almost hit for the cycle. And Florida wins that game 3-2. The Gators are now 32-2. I think is that good? That's a pretty good record. And hitting 387 as a team, doing a great job. Tim Walton and the ladies, they're also playing Arkansas this week. I was saying this, they should be able to just take one big jumbo jet out there. Why waste time with 2 different planes? But nobody asked me. Florida used 5 pitchers last night and got it done. Rothrock with the save. How about that, Zach? You got Keegan Rothrock with the save, and Leah Stevens gets a win. They used 5 pitchers and got it done. And that's what you need to do this time of year. All right, let's move to number 4 on our moneymetals.com starting 5. Brought to you by our good friends at Money Metals. That is, Florida has a women's basketball coach now. Tammy Reese is their new coach. It feels like a little bit of a reach. She got to the NCAA this year at Rhode Island. She's 55 years old and has been in, she was in, what was that show? Sister Sister. She was an actor for a while. She's done a lot of things and kind of got into basketball late in her career. I'm not as a player. She was a player at Virginia, but as a coach. We'll see. Look, they've got pretty good players. I said this last year. They had good enough players to win more games than they won. And I like Kelly Ray Finley as a person, but I don't know how good a coach she was, whether she was a good coach or a bad coach. All I know is it wasn't working, and I'm sure that's where Scott Strickland was, and that's why he let her go. Tammy Reese comes in. This is part of the Florida way of doing things, which is to say, hey, you got to want to be here. And if you don't want to be here, we don't want you. You got to want to be here. So sometimes they have to settle. And I'm not saying Tammy Reese is not going to do a great job. She may. But it does feel like a little bit of a settle. You kind of want to see Florida hit the ball out of the park and go get a big name coach. I mean, not Gino, not Don Staley, not Kim Mulkey. You're not going to get those time, but somebody that's had Power 5 success. But do you want to spend that kind of money, or do you want to go get somebody that you think is on the rise? Now, 55-year-olds on the rise, you don't see that a lot. But look, I have not met her. I have not seen her. I have not talked to her. I'm sure she's a very impressive person, and I hope she does great. I want to see Florida women's basketball become something. Right now, it's nothing, and that's the bottom line. It hadn't been anything for a long time. When Carol Ross was here, they were pretty good, but they never got past the Sweet 16. And I remember there was one game where she was so mad because the crowd was so bad, an NCAA game at home. She goes, we have a top 20 program, but we don't have top 20 crowds. That hasn't changed. The only way you're going to get crowds is to win. The only way you can win is to get crowds. It's like the old Dan Mullen argument. Anyway, she wants to be here, and that's what matters here at Florida. You know, if you don't want to be here, they don't want you. Now, wanting to be here and getting paid a lot of money are two different things sometimes. Anyway, good luck to her, and I hope she does well. And I'd like to be way more interested in women's basketball than I am. I watch a lot of their games. I'll watch more of them maybe. All right, and if they can get those players there, she's facing the kind of the John Summerall thing. Do you get those players back? You know, the Liv McGills and Tamara O'Neal, and you get them back because they can go get NIL money and bolt. And finally, number 5 on our moneymetals.com starting 5. Let's talk a little football. And I do want to talk about the quarterback battle that's going on, Aaron Philo and Tramel Jones. Tramel Jones apparently doing really well, and Philo's good. Look, those two guys are going to battle it out. You're not going to know who the starter is going to be till probably the week of the opener. That's what a lot of coaches feel, that, you know, they want to keep it secret. My gut is that both of them would play in the opener. But it's also one reason I am not overly optimistic about this first year with John Summerall. I think he's going to come in, try to change the culture. I think the culture was pretty good. It needs to get the edge back that's been gone from Florida football. There's no doubt about that. But bottom line is, are they going to be good enough to win? The schedule's easier, but it's not easy. Not by any means, but it's easier than anything Billy Napier faced. But you don't know who your quarterback is right now, and that is a concern of mine. I think maybe I thought they were going to go get a bigger name to play quarterback, but this is what they've got. We'll see how it goes. By the way, Coach Summerall is speaking to the Gainesville Quarterback Club. I think it's a week from Tuesday, the 7th. Would that make sense? If it does, then plan on that. And you ought to join the quarterback club, the Gainesville Quarterback Club, because, that's the way you would start, is seeing your coach come in there and talk and do a great job of firing Gator fans up. All right. So that's going to do it for our first segment. We always love our moneymetals.com starting 5. I love my Money Metals coins too, man. They are really cool. Had a lot of people, every time somebody comes over to the house, I go, hey, look at these Money Metals coins I got. Or actually, they're called rounders or rounds or rounders. Call them anything you want, but they're really nice. All right. Appreciate that. Appreciate moneymetals.com, Money Metals Exchange. We'll be back with Coach Jenny Rowland right after we take this break here on another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging and coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. Money Metals Exchange is a new sponsor for our starting 5 here on another duly noted podcast, and we are so happy to have a group that is formed by 2 Florida grads, Mike and Stephen Gleason. They do a great job up there. If you're looking to buy or sell any gold or silver products, this is the place for you. And you can reach them at moneymetals.com. Also, phone number 1-800-800 1865. They are the place to go. They run the largest Class 3 precious metals depository west of New York. They've been voted the best online precious metals dealer in the United States by Investopedia. It's a bull market right now. Everybody needs to get in on the gold and silver markets, especially silver. So it's a great time to jump in. I looked at it yesterday. I was on the website for a while. And it was amazing how many different things they have. Coins and rounds and bars and just all kinds of special things. And I think you would have a great time just going in there and browsing. And look, the prices are right there. You know how much it is. Money Metals Exchange is the place to go. Again, Mike and Stephen Gleason do a great job. You can reach them at moneymetals.com or reach them at 1-800-800-1865.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
By now, you heard about the Florida Legends Experience and Gala, featuring Gator Heisman greats Tim Tebow, Danny Warfel, and Steve Spurrier, all in one place at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. Imagine catching a pass or taking a handoff from a Heisman winner, all while supporting Isaiah 117 to help provide safe, loving homes for children in need. Then enjoy an unforgettable evening at the Gala, filled with great food and lasting memories. Don't miss this historic event. Find out how you and your business can get involved at fllegends.com. That's fllegends.com.
Coach, it always impressed me how you beat Florida State to win the 1996 National Championship.
And I was really impressed with your 06, 08, and 09 Gator teams.
And the way you coached Danny to the Heisman Trophy.
A lot like what you did with Tim Tebow.
You won more SEC championships than you lost home games at the Swamp.
And you had plenty of super games in front of our Gator Nation.
Yeah, there really is something special about the Swamp.
I guess that's why we say about the Swamp, only the Gators get out alive.
To the Swamp and the Gators, with the best beverage served at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, 100% agave, Los Landeros tequila, aged in bourbon barrels for a smoother taste.
I think you mean Head Beer Coach 1966 lager, a crisp, light, bodied lager for easy drinking.
Nope. Los Landeros tequila, smooth enough to drink neat and bold enough to elevate a cocktail.
1966 lager, enjoyed on game days in the fall or whenever you need a winning cold brew.
Los Landeros tequila.
1966 lager.
Los Landeros.
1966 lager.
Y'all stop bickering.
Okay, you're both wrong anyway. The best thing Spurrier's Gridiron Grill offers are Jerry's famous chocolate chip cookies.
It is a great pleasure to bring in SEC champion Jenny Rowland. That never gets tired for you to hear, does it?
Never gets old. Never, ever.
That had to be one of the more, we watched it. It was pretty thrilling. It had to be thrilling for you. Is that a heart in your throat moment when you get to the last event?
It most definitely was. Probably one of the most memorable competitions I've ever been a part of. It was an elite performance competition. You had number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4 on the floor at the same time. Really, it doesn't get any better than that.
And for Selena to do what she did, that was,
wow.
She's had an unbelievable year, hasn't she?
100%. Really, she's really trying to make the most of, every opportunity that she has left to compete. This is her final season. So she wants to go out with a bang.
Yeah, it's been really kind of an interesting season because coming in, you've had all these injuries from before, and obviously with Sky and Kayla and everybody, and now to finally get everybody back and going in the same direction. And early, and I'll ask you this question, early it felt to me like scores were down all over the country. Now, I didn't know if it was just my imagination or were they down, or what did you see?
Oh, I feel like that's kind of a trend. A little tougher at the beginning. However, I think I think the gymnasts get better towards the end of the season also. So, I mean, you can look at it both ways. I think it's just something that judges, athletes, just continue to get better, refine their skills. The more you compete, I say, the better you get. The more you learn how to compete, and I think that's just part of the process. And, it may have been a bit slower for some people to see, our team get to where we know we're capable of. But you know what? That's our process, and extremely proud of them for, continuing to build, learn, and grow from each meet.
Yeah, how do you stagger what you're going to include for each gymnast? I mean, does it depend on the gymnast, or in terms of we're going to add this, we're going to do a little bit more of this, as the season
I
goes
would
on?
say, yeah, great question. I would say we're very individualized. I mean, each athlete needs something a little bit different. And, for our role and our purpose, we want our team to be the best that they can be at the end of the season. So, if that's managing, health, for this one specific person a little bit more, versus those who, hey, I love competing every weekend. Please don't take me out, but there are moments and times where, hey, let's have a talk. There's an opportunity for you to rest this weekend. We'd love for you to be a little bit more fresh by the end of the season. And really, one weekend can make a big difference just in mental and physical freshness for postseason.
SEC champion Jenny Rowland coming on to us on our Big Mills Cheesesteak Zoom line, and we appreciate Big Mills Cheesesteak. I'm sure your girls aren't eating a lot of cheesesteaks before these meets, but
Sure sounds good.
but we do love it. Yeah, I mean that to me is the big thing with because every gymnast is different. You know
Mhm.
that every person, every human being is different. Everybody's got different DNA, and how you handle every one of them. And of course, your assistant coaches do such a great job too, coming up with those routines.
Absolutely. And honestly, Pat, that was something that one of our athletes brought up when we were watching film on Monday, was how different everybody is and how proud everybody should be of each other, because you're figuring out what you need, in order to have that success on that Friday night, Saturday night, whatever that looks like. So just continuing, to be mindful to fill your own cup, outside of the gym, to where you can come in and, have the most capacity coming in so that you can be the best version of yourself possible.
What was it like for you to be in Tulsa? That was an odd place to have and again, it was because of Oklahoma, but
Yeah.
to have an SEC championship where I'm like, Tulsa, isn't that where the Big 12 should be?
Yeah, it definitely different. And honestly, I grew up in Tulsa, so it was kind of a hometown
Yeah, yeah.
feel for me, even though it's been quite some time. But no, it was fine. You know what? The arena was fantastic. The support from the area was great. So we can't complain, and it's not too bad, going to Tulsa and winning an SEC championship, in
Yeah.
Oklahoma.
No, nothing wrong with that at all. And it was obviously a lot of, do you like the way the form, I know it's been 6 years now. And again, you're getting ready to go to Tempe for the regionals. I guess you would leave what, Tuesday?
We're gonna leave next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday. Okay.
Hmm.
Because that's right. You don't start till Thursday.
Thursday, right?
Yeah. But that format that they have now, the way they do it, it's been that way for 6 years. Are you comfortable with it?
We are. It's a grind. You know what? We just have to make it what we don't need to make it bigger than what it is. The regional finals is more like the semifinals at nationals, what that used to be, the Super Six. So really, you have to be on. There is no opportunity for you to be off and be able to advance to Fort Worth. Very confident this team did a fantastic job of doing that this last weekend. They didn't make it bigger than it needed to be. They just went in focused on, trusting their training, having the confidence in themselves and each other, celebrating a lot of wins, And that's going to help this team advance and move forward.
Do you ever get hurt from having to hug people so much, or is that?
Oh, I hurt myself all the time. Usually I leave with bruises on my hands, on my wrists from my bracelets. That's it. It's me clapping. My watch went off several times, notifying me that it looked like I had taken a fall, and I had to tell it no. I'm just excited. I'm just celebrating. But no, I receive a lot from the embraces and just really grateful and cherish those opportunities.
Well, it's a dry heat out there in Tempe, just to let you know. But
Yes, it is. Another homecoming. I was a student athlete at Arizona State myself.
Right, yeah.
So I do remember that dry heat and looking forward to a place that we're going to that at least has sunshine. So that makes me happy.
It should. And I know that when you look out there and you see the Bulldogs over there, you're going to, hey, I'm not going to look over there. Because I know how it is for all the sports over there. Like one time I walked into the tennis facility wearing a red shirt and Roland Thornquist yelled at me. He said, "You can't wear red in here."
No, nobody here in Gainesville owns red. You shouldn't.
Well, I'd gotten into a golf tournament. They'd give me a shirt.
Oh, okay.
I got rid of it.
It was free.
It was free, exactly.
Okay.
I got rid of it since then. Roland straightened me out on that, but
I may have done that with one of my athletes, and I was purely teasing her. She was a freshman and came in wearing red shorts, but I think it was on like 4th of July at camp or something like that. And she's like, "It's 4th of July." I'm like, "No red here. You can wear blue, you can wear white, but no red."
that's great stuff. Obviously, being the 3 seed again, it's all done by scores and everything, but
Mhm.
you just beat the 1 and 2 seed. So I mean, you're good with the 3 seed, and that'll be interesting. And just getting out of that regional with a good score is the key, right?
Absolutely. Really just going in there and using the momentum, building off the momentum that this team has continued to move forward with. They are filled with grit. They're filled with fight. That Gator toughness. They're ready and willing to conquer anything and everything that comes in front of them.
When did you guys start doing the Gator chomp on the beam? Was that this year or was it the year before?
Actually, Selena started it last year.
Okay.
Selena and Riley. Selena came in and she's like, "Well, this is cool. I want to do it in my beam routine too." So she did it, and then Riley did it on beam last year because she wasn't able to train floor anymore. And she's like, I want to be able to chomp in my beam routine. And then this year, it just kind of naturally happened. Everybody's like, well, I think we all need Gator chomps then. So just a fun little addition. And, just science says when you smile, you release a lot of nervous energy, and it always just makes them relax a little bit before their next skill.
I tell you what would impress me is if somebody could do it on the bars. That would be
Oh,
something.
that would be
You do it a
impressive.
double and you come down.
That would be impressive.
Yes, very impressive. I do want to ask you too about the whole Tebow thing with that was Riley, right? That put that up.
That was Skylar.
Skylar. I'm sorry.
Yep.
Skylar.
Yep.
And I mean that was a good idea. I'm a big believer that it helps motivate you as a
Absolutely.
person. But do you think it's been a big advantage to see that when you walk in every day for the athletes?
Well, I would love to think so, and I do believe that it is something that just helps you be mindful. As you're walking into the gym, it's right above you. It's a reminder, that you are here for a reason, you are here for a purpose, and to make the most of your opportunities and not take anything for granted.
It's going to come to a point like 3 or 4 years from now where somebody's going to look at that sign and go, "Oh, what's that about?" No, it's about the whole Tebow thing, and they're going to go, "Who's Tim Tebow? I never heard of him."
We hope that will never ever happen. We will continue his legacy.
Well, I'm getting so old that now I'm at the point where I'll talk about players to my daughter, and she's like, "Who?"
Who?
Yeah, she
Yeah.
only goes back to Joe Kim. That's about as
Yeah.
far back as she goes. But
Well, luckily with today's technology, you can always pull up a video and show. And I mean, just we've watched that video many times, and just the feels, the emotions, the reality, just comes through very, very naturally, um, very, yeah, easily.
yeah, it was fun to cover. I can tell you that. Like all of your young ladies have been fun to cover too. All right, it is time for us to play the game we call Yes, No, Way, or Maybe with Jenny Rowland. And of course, it's brought to you by Big Mill's Cheesesteak. Street dining done the right way. If you go in there and say you listen to this interview, you get free fries with your order. How about that, Jenny?
Sounds great. I'm ready.
All right, yes, no, where, or maybe. Number one, you already have your outfits picked up for Tempe.
Yes.
Now, when did you start wearing the jackets? Was that was like 3 or 4 years
After
ago?
COVID,
Oh yeah,
it was I started like dressing more like a coach, dressing down, not wearing heels, wearing something a little bit more comfortable along the lines of, what I wear on a day-to-day basis, but just a little elevated um style.
yeah. Well, I mean that's after COVID. I think that was the college basketball coaches loved that more than anybody because now
Yeah,
they have to wear ties.
I took advantage of it.
It's great stuff though. Number two on yes. No way or maybe the Sky Blakely story is one of your favorites since you've been here in Florida.
Absolutely. 100% yes.
I mean, she to come back from what she's come back from and to be the SEC Specialist of the Year is pretty impressive stuff.
Amazing young lady. So much, gosh, a pillar of strength, of fight, of grit, of determination. And you know what? When you love something enough and you want it enough, nothing's gonna stand in your way. And she is that person.
That's what's been amazing to me watching you coach is how you get these dainty, beautiful young girls to be just fighters, just
Fierce.
fierce, yes. I mean, they're the sweetest things, and you talk to them, you interview them, they're great. I remember Alex McMurtry was one of my favorites to talk to,
Mhm.
and Trinity, obviously. But man, when they were competing, get out of their way.
100% get out of their way. They'll hug each other, they'll hug their opponents before, a meet, and then it's game face and game on.
Yeah, I don't even know how they do that when somebody's getting a 10 on the beam and you're trying to do your floor, but I guess you can just zone it out.
Well, that's key that you try that, we talk about that and practice that.
All right, and finally, number three on yes, no, where, maybe with Florida gymnastics coach Jenny Rowland. You could still score a 9.0 or better on any apparatus if you got up on one.
No way.
I couldn't
You
even
know,
get up on one.
I I get up on the beam once a year. No one around. Just to get up there, I get up there and I'm like, I'm dizzy. I have no sense of awareness, balance. It's crazy. This sport is insane, and it just goes to show, you can't just pick it up, and you can't just do it, when you want to or when you feel like it, just to play. It takes so much training and practice and time, and discipline to get to the level that these athletes are at.
It's so hard to do what they do. I mean, I remember doing a story on beam bites, how the young ladies have like indentions in their
Yep,
side of their because they
legs.
hit the beams when they
Hmm.
fall. But it's been great. It's been a fun year. We've enjoyed watching it. My wife and daughter are big fans too.
Thank you.
Mary Howard took care of my niece and her daughter for a couple of meets, and they were at the last meet. So we appreciate you, appreciate how much fun you're having, and let's go get them in Tempe, and then we'll go from there.
Amazing. Go Gators. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, we will be back with more of another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios after we take this break. All right, it may be a new year, but it doesn't mean you have to back off any of your goals as far as losing weight. I know I've been working even harder on it, and of course I get an assist from BMI TeleMed. They help us out with our New Year's resolutions, even if I've already broken 2 of them. Not the food ones, though. Weight loss is your goal. Get with BMI TeleMed. They use GLP-1 medications, and they are individualized. And that's the great thing. I've been through this, and Charlie, just talking to him, it was so great to make him understand, and he understood what I was doing. It's not about just losing weight. It is about keeping it off. You know that. We're all excited about the new year, and we're going to lose weight. But when you lose it in the first month, then you got to keep going. BMI TeleMed is sensible. It's straightforward. It's affordable. No contracts or hidden costs. BMI TeleMed is donating $1 for every pound you lose to the Florida Victorious Foundation. So go Gators. I'll join the listeners on this podcast who've already lost over 600 pounds. Are you kidding me? I'm 60 of them right there. All right, contact BMI TeleMed today at 727-383-1677.
Meldon Law has been serving personal injury victims since 1971. In those days, Jeffrey Meldon's presence as an attorney in the music scene dubbed him with the nickname the Hippie Attorney. And although times have changed, 2 things haven't: our commitment to bettering our community by helping the injured,
Albert, are you ready to go to the game?
And our love for the Florida Gators.
If you bleed orange and blue, Meldon Law is the firm for you.
Adams Rib Company has been a staple of Gainesville for more than a decade and a staple of the Dooley house ever since Kelsey's teeth came in. The first time I walked into Adams, I told my daughter that the green beans are always a test of a great barbecue restaurant, and they were perfect. You know about the ribs that melt in your mouth, and my favorite, the turkey plate. But be sure to go in on Fridays for Nana's Fish Nuggets. They will melt in your mouth. Adams Rib Co., a Gainesville great. Okay, welcome back to another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. Thanks so much to Jenny for coming on. I think, I have a daughter named Jennifer too, so, sometimes I'll go, Jenny, and she'll go, what? No, anyway, really, she's just the greatest, terrific person. And again, it goes back to what I was talking about. Not only does Florida always want to hire people who want to be here and get the whole Gator thing, and they failed in that area sometimes. They failed with Jim McElwain and not getting a guy who understood what Florida was about. Not Cam Neubauer. I can go down a list of guys who have not done well, but most do well. And most, it's because not only do they want to be here, but they get it. They get what Florida is. Florida's not like anywhere else in the SEC. It is not. It is an outlier. Look, we know what the state, Florida man, there is a Florida man thing going on. But the state of Florida is different than everybody else. And the University of Florida is different from everybody else. Nobody in the SEC has what Florida has. Now, that's positive and negative in a way. But I'm just saying with every sport. But looking forward to watching the gymnastics. I'm not sure, and I'll try to find out if it's going to be televised. Sometimes those regionals are not on TV, but they may be on the Plus. But I'll find out by the time we get to next Monday's show. All right. It is time for us to do our fun segment 3, and we'll start with a Hesser and Kipke. 3 things. Hesser and Kipke, with over 50 years of combined legal experience in North and Central Florida, Hesser and Kipke is your place for bankruptcy, workers' compensation, and family law. Call or text Ken and Jennifer at 352-339-9920 Hesser. All right, we'll start off with number 1. A segment I heard on a radio show. I think it was a Big Ten network, or some network. Anyway, and they were going through this, and I thought about it, and I think they're right. The Big Ten, now again, Big Ten's won the last 3, and the Big Ten's probably going to have more first-round draft picks than the SEC this year. No, well, that is stunning news because, look, one thing the SEC is going to do is dominate the draft, right? Not so fast, my friend. In fact, I think I added up from a mock draft that I respect. And again, you can go with any mock draft, but and it was 13-10, the Big Ten over the SEC. Does this matter? A little bit. I mean, the SEC that's what they have kind of sold people on. You come here, you get to the league. But you go to the Big Ten. And it's not just Ohio State. Now they have the most, but it's Indiana, it's Utah, teams like that are not Utah. UCLA has a wide receiver. USC has a couple of players. So yeah, that's interesting to think about, and it'll be a big story leading up to the draft, which is still almost a month away, I think. But I'm not a fan of the draft. Again, I know that nobody cares what I am a fan of or not a fan of. I'm just not. The draft, watching the draft is the most boring thing. I'd rather watch curling than watch the draft. However, I am interested in leading up to it, and I'm interested once they get it done and who got what and where they went. It's huge. And they don't have to worry about tanking the way basketball does, which they're still fighting with that. In fact, Adam Silver had a press conference yesterday because they're talking about the expansion. The Board of Governors, I guess, approved Seattle and Vegas to have teams, which is going to happen. We know that. But, they're still trying to figure out what to do about tanking. And I don't know that there's an easy answer. In fact, I know there's not an easy answer. I think it's going to be a hard answer, and I'm not sure it's going to work. Football, there's a little tanking going on. You're not going to play your starter in the last game if the game doesn't matter. Starting quarterback a lot of times, but it's not tanking. It's not like we're sitting our guys out for this month. It's not like Giannis. Anyway, let's get to number 2 on our Hesser and Kipke. 3 things, and that is that the Timberwolves last night made history. They without several of their best players, including Anthony Edwards. They were down 13 in overtime and came back and won. And according to the records, because they didn't start keeping records, this is amazing to me. When I saw where they started, I think it was in the 70s, where they started keeping play-by-play in the NBA. That's why Jack Youngblood took so long to get in the NFL Hall of Fame, because they didn't keep sack totals back then. I don't know how people survive without stats like that. But anyway, I'm a big stat guy. They were down 13. That's the largest overtime win, our largest comeback in an overtime win in the history of the NBA that they can find. And we'll just go with it. That's the biggest in history. So you got that going for you, Timberwolves. Finally, number 3 on Hesser and Kipke, 3 things. And this may be a story that I missed a couple of weeks ago, or missed last week, or missed 2 days ago. I don't know. But I saw the story today, but I wanted to bring it up. And that's Floyd Mayweather has declared bankruptcy, even though he made $1.2 billion off his fights and commercials and stuff like that. Apparently and again, this is a good example of have somebody who knows how to handle your money, handle it for you, and is not going to steal it from you. But somebody that can tell you no is what you need, what everybody needs in their life. My daughter, my wife, I need somebody to tell me no, don't do this. For example, Floyd Mayweather never wore the same underwear twice. Well, new underwear every day. Okay, you're not going to spend a fortune on that. But you also had somebody sanitize all of your cars every day, and you wouldn't get in them unless they'd been sanitized. And you paid this guy. All these kind of things I'm reading about that he did, spent $20,000 at a Japanese steakhouse one night, stuff like that. Look, I get it. You got money. You maybe you came from a tough situation. You finally have money and you want to enjoy it. And early in your career, I can certainly see that. But at some point, you got to say, all right, I need to have somebody tell me no. Anyway, it's not my problem, as you know. All right, that is our Hesser and Kipke 3 things, let's move along to our Adams Ribco Gator of the Week, brought to you by our good friends at Adams Ribco, the place to go for all your barbecue needs, and the Nana's Nuggets. Somebody mentioned the Nana's Nuggets to me the other day. Was I playing golf or doing something else? But somebody mentioned, oh yeah, I listen to your podcast all the time, Nana's Nuggets. You're right, Adams Ribco, the place to go. Our Gator of the Week is a freshman. I had a lot of choices here, believe me. A freshman, Ahmad Jouade, who yesterday won the 1650 free. It's 1,650 meters, right? 1,650. Okay, he won that race, freestyle, in an NCAA record and won the NCAA championship at the same time. Only a freshman, and caught the two-time defending champ down the stretch in the last 50 yards. That's pretty. Now, if this was happening in football, basketball, or even baseball, we would be talking about this for weeks. But because swimming doesn't get the enjoyment it should get, or the attention it should get, but we try to bring it to you when we can. But to Ahmed, congratulations, buddy, and free lunch. All you got to do is tell me when you want to be there, and I'll come and meet you, and I'll buy you lunch. That's a standing offer to anybody who wins the Adams Ribco Gator of the Week. All right, it is time for our Leonardo's at Millhopper quick picks, and today we are going to pull a winner. Yeah, I said we would pull a winner on Thursday. Leonardo's, you're going to get $25 at Leonardo's Pizza of Millhopper. We love them. Kyle over there. And hey, look, I'll probably stick something else in there. Some other gift certificate. I got a bunch of gift certificates that came in. So I'll give you something else. And we're going to also offer up something you can get qualified for the next one. So I've gotten all the names written down here, and I am just going to take my finger, look the other way, and press a button. There it is. Andy McIntosh is our winner of our Leonardo's at Millhopper Quick Pick $25 gift certificate. So we'll be sending that to him. We'll probably stick I'll give him a choice. You can either have 25 at Nopal. I ate there last night. Man, it was so good. I got the mahi sandwich. But the other day they had the ribs on special. They were really good. Or I can give you $25 at the Salty Dog Saloon. You let me know. I'll send it to you. And just send me your address. I think I have it. I think Andy's won before, but go ahead and send it to me. And we will let you try to get in for the next contest. We usually make a poll about every 3 weeks. In fact, I need to go over to see my man Kyle over there and get some new ones. But so here's going to be the contest we're going to have for this week, and it's very simple. How many SEC teams are alive on Monday? And I'm talking about the NCAA tournament, okay? All 16 will be alive, we hope, but how many will be alive in the NCAA tournament? You got 4. You may have none. You may have 4. If you have 4, that'll be something. I don't think you can, though. And anyway, just give me a number, 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4. That'll be it. And you can attempt to qualify again for our Leonardo's at Millhopper Quick Pick. Again, Andy's our winner. We appreciate all of you who get in the contest. All right, let's move along to our Gallo Car Wash Sponge of the Week. Brought to you by our good friends at Gallo Car Wash, where we get all of our cars washed, all 3 of them. Actually, there's a 4th car in our driveway today, so I may have to get Kelsey's boyfriend to start doing it there too. But Gallo Car Wash is certainly a great place to go. We love them there. Our Sponge of the Week is I'm giving it to Olivia Miller. Now, the reason I'm watching the game last night. I'm into it. It's a serious moment in the game. It's 2-2. You're getting a little nervous. You can't lose to Stetson. But Stetson's a lot better than they've been. She comes in, though, and pitches for an inning and a third, strikes out 3, kept it right where it was so that Florida could score another run, take the lead. Rothrock came in and closed it. So Olivia Miller gets our Sponge of the Week, brought to you by Gallo Car Wash. And Great job by all the pitchers, really, on Wednesday night. Even the starting pitcher pitched well. She just gave up that one home run. All right, that's our Gallo Car Wash Sponge of the Week. Let's get to our BMI TeleMed Smart Move of the Week, and that is brought to you by our friends at BMI TeleMed, your weight loss specialists. Achieve and maintain with BMI TeleMed. Give them a call, 727-383-1677. It'll work for me. It'll work for you. And tell them that Pat Dooley sent you. You get a discount on your order. Let's get to our Smart Move of the Week. And our Smart Move of the Week was Auburn accepting the NIT invitation. Now, guess what? They're in the Final Four. Now, a lot of you will say, well, you were in the Final Four last year. It was the real Final Four. Now you're in the pretend Final Four. That's a step backwards. Yeah, but at least you're still in the mix. You're playing basketball. Your players are probably going to get better. Now, some of them may leave, some may come. The bottom line is, I never understand teams that turn down NITs. You get travel, you get to go someplace, you get another week or 2 or 3 on the company's dime. I just don't understand saying, well, I don't want to do anything. Now, I do, if you're an individual player and you say, look, I'm going in the NBA draft, I'm going to be in a first-round pick, they've already told me that, I don't need to play in this game. I get that. I get the opting out part of it, but I don't get just turning it down, and so many did. Don't make the NCAA, well, that's it. It just diminishes the NIT tournament, and I got to figure a way to make this better, but I don't know what the answer is there either. I've got a lot of problems I want to solve. I just don't know how to solve a lot of them. Story of my life. All right, that is our BMI TeleMed Smart Move of the Week. I have not seen Auburn play one game in the NIT yet, though. Interesting. I don't know why. I just haven't seen them. There's been other stuff going on. All right, let us move along to this, that, and the other.
What do you want? This, that, and the other.
Okay, this, that, and the other, as always, is brought to you by Notary Joe's. Notary Joe, your mobile notary, will come to your house. Okay, you can reach Joseph Newton, your Notary Joe's, at 863-990-4884, and he'll come to your house and do all your notary work. It is brought to you by Dar Shakow Insurance. For all your home, auto, commercial, and life needs, Dar Shakow is the place to go. And it's brought to you by the Atlanta Hustle, the Southeast Ultimate Frisbee team. Schedule's up. You can see it online. Go look for it if you want to check out a game. Maybe you're going to a Braves game. Baseball season started, I heard. Well, let's get to that, because this, that, and the other may have a little baseball flavor to it, and that is that baseball season snuck up on me. I knew they were playing exhibition games. I don't pay much attention. Look, the Braves are a mess right now. Everybody's hurt. Max Fried pitched great last night for the wrong team. And they got a bunch of guys hurt. I'm not optimistic about this season, so maybe I just wasn't paying that much attention to it. Anyway, but it definitely snuck up on me. So I was down for opening day. That is that I was ready for opening day. I said, hey, maybe I'll watch some opening day baseball. It's always fun to watch. And usually they give you that baseball channel for free and you can watch a bunch of games there. And let me kind of get acquainted with some of these things. Maybe the Braves game was on. But the other is certainly that it was streaming. I was already streaming something. I was streaming softball. I can't stream two things. I'm not good enough to do that. I'm not smart enough to stream two different things. So that, and the fact it was the Yankees against Tony Vitello, so I wouldn't have had anybody to root for. I never bothered to watch it, but apparently the Yankees won 7-0 and whoop-de-doo. But that is this, that, and the other. Look, I want to be a baseball fan. I really do. I used to be a baseball fan. And when the Braves were great, I was a huge baseball fan. I could tell you who was a starting shortstop on every team in the National League, stuff like that. But it's fallen off for me. I think for a lot of people it has. And you would think old people like me would really like it. Maybe it's just not having box scores anymore. Like that was part of the thrill of that paper hitting your driveway. was you knew you were going to read stories, and in the Gainesville Sun, you were reading good stories back when Robbie and I were working there. But you'd also open it up to the box scores and go through them and see what your guys did and everything. I think that the decline of newspapers is part of the reason for the decline of baseball. But anyway, it is what it is. All right. That is our this, that, and the other for today. Let's get to our Los Linderos smooth move of the week. And it is brought to you by our good friends at Los Linderos. Go beyond with Los Linderos tequila, my favorite tequila, and Urban Meyer's favorite tequila as well. Our smooth move of the week is Rory McIlroy. For the dinner he put together for the, it makes me hungry. I don't know that anybody's going to be able to eat everything. There's all these appetizers, including elk sliders. He's apparently really into eating elk. I had an elk burger up at when I was at the Grand Canyon, and I felt bad in a way because the next day there was an elk like looking in our window. You know, they're all over the place up there, and I was like, oh man, I might have eaten your dad or something. But and what are you going to do? Cows, elk, salmon. Anyway. But it also includes, I thought it was really cool that he wanted to include a touch of Georgia. So he has peach ricotta flatbreads. That's nice. He's got Wagyu. He's got salmon. He's got all the things I like. It's a beautiful menu. I wish I could eat. I wish I could win the Masters. I wish I could play at Augusta again. I had my one time and it was it. But anyway, Rory is our smooth move of the week. Really good menu. I've seen some bad ones. I've seen some where you look at it and you go, I don't even want to eat that, let alone eat it in a stuffy room. All right. That is our Los Linderos smooth move of the week. Let's wrap it up with our games of the weekend brought to you by our good friends at the Swamp Restaurant. I will tell you that my daughter watched the game at the Swamp Sunday night, and everybody was into it, and of course didn't end well, and everybody was upset. But it is the only place to go to watch games. I got to tell you, it is the best. And when you can sit outside this time of year, especially because it's still not too hot, and it's certainly got a little chilly on Tuesday, but it's not that bad. Wear a jacket. But we appreciate the Swamp Restaurant and everything they do. All right, I'll start with basketball. And again, there's a lot of questions about whether I'm going to be up for watching it. All right. Thursday night, Texas, Purdue's at 7:10 on CBS. Iowa, Nebraska, 7:30 on TBS. Will you watch that game? I don't even know if I can watch those Iowa players play. Especially the guy who grabbed his crotch every time he made a three. I don't know that I don't think I can watch. It's too soon. But anyway, I'll let you know in case you want to watch it. Then you have the 9:45 Arizona, Arkansas, CBS. That'll be a good game. There's all these are good games. St. John's, Houston at 10:05. And that is on TBS. Now, will I stay up? Yeah, I think I will. I got nothing to do Friday morning. I need to stay up and watch these games. I'm gonna punch myself in the face a few times. Then on Friday, you've got the Duke game is at Duke St. John's is at, I'm looking for it. I can't figure. So 7:10 on CBS. Michigan State, UConn on CBS as well. That is the later game, and then Michigan, Alabama. And what's the other one? Tennessee, Iowa State is the last game. That's at 10:10 on TNT. A lot of basketball this weekend. This is really the last great weekend of basketball, or really the last great Thursday, Friday of basketball. Then you get down to you're just got a few teams playing, and then you only got 4 and then 2. When your team's out of it, this is Thursday and Friday are the last 2 chances. So there, I've talked myself into watching. Well done, Pat. All right, I'm all in. Friday, I'm not so sure about because Friday, well, I've got the 3 TVs in here. Friday, I definitely want to watch baseball and softball. Anyway, Let's move along to baseball. Baseball, let me give you the times. They're at Arkansas. 7 o'clock on Friday, it's on the Plus, SEC Plus. 2 o'clock on Saturday, it's on SEC Plus. And then 1 o'clock on Sunday, that's on the SEC Network. So most of you get the SEC Network, could be able to watch it there. Softball, 7 o'clock on Friday, again at Arkansas on ESPN2. And then 8 o'clock Saturday on the Plus and 2 o'clock Sunday on the Plus. So those are the games. And again, you got to have SEC Plus or ESPN Plus to watch every game. That's why I have them. I have them basically for baseball and softball season. It's not so much for basketball and football because most games are on regular TV. I don't know what regular TV is anymore. Anyway. Also, the Houston Open is the last tune-up for the Masters, and that'll be fun to watch. I'm looking forward to that. It'll be all over. It's on the Golf Channel, and it'll be on CBS. Not on CBS. I'm sorry, on NBC. All right, I think that does it. Wraps it up. Thanks so much for joining us. Thanks to Jenny Rowland for joining us. Thanks to Zach for doing a tremendous job, as he always does, dealing with me. We'll be back Monday with Coach Spurrier. I'll let you know then who our guest is going to be next Thursday. I'll be honest with you. When I said it might be somebody big, I am in communication with Jesse Palmer to come on. He's going on vacation for 3 weeks. He's shot all his shows he needs to shoot, including The Bachelorette. That's a whole nother story. We got to ask about that when we get him on. And then I had somebody else I thought was going to be a big deal too, and that is not going to work out till later. But I got to make some calls and see who I can get on here. But we'll get somebody on. It'll be fun. We always have a good time here on another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, and coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. I am Pat Dooley. I am deep. I am way back, and I am out of here.